Welcome to the Krista Escamilla Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our show. Thank you so much for being here. We know that you have a choice, and we're glad you're choosing us today. And we are so glad that Jimmy Patterson is sitting with us today. Jimmy, thanks so much for being here.
Krista, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while.
As they say today, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, and a lot of those minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, it has been a lot of minutes.
So good to see you.
Good to see you.
Jimmy is an author, and many of you, of course, know him here in West Texas from the Midland Reporter-Telegram and his years as a journalist there. And now he is just out spreading his wings, writing books, traveling, having fun, taking care of grandbabies, all the good stuff.
It's took a while to get to where we are, yes, but we're glad we're here now.
Well,
that phase in life, you know.
I can't wait to hear your story, and we're going to jump right in. First, I want to thank our sponsors because, of course, you know, without sponsors, you don't have a show. So thank you, sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors.
Yes, thank you, Rig ID Workwear and Midland Cap Co. We appreciate your support. Okay, now that the housekeeping is done, Jimmy, tell me, what have you been doing for the past, let me think, you left in 2009, is that right?
No. It's 2000, I was here till 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got 2009.
Well, that's probably when I stopped doing the morning.
That's probably when we stopped doing the morning show together. So yes. So tell us a little bit about your story, how you got into journalism and writing, and how you became this world-renowned author.
Well, I can go all the way back to the beginning and say it all started when my radio general manager told me that I had a voice for newspaper, and so I took that advice ultimately, I guess, and ended up here in Midland through a series of changes and growth. And 1988 came to Midland. Spent 30 years here raising my family. Karen, my wife, and I. It's our 38th anniversary today. So,
oh, happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary to Karen, and love you. And thanks for letting me be out here and pursuing my whatever it is I'm pursuing. But I loved working at the MRT and around the nonprofit sector in Midland there for a few years. And 2009 left and started working on A History of Character, the story of Midland, Texas, which was published in 2014.
Okay.
And still copies available at the Petroleum Museum.
Yes, insert plug here. We always we will plug anything you want to plug today, Jimmy.
So that one thing led to another. That led me into a sort of a friendship with the Scharbauer family, and they really wanted to have a book done on the Alysheba. Their horse from the 1987 Kentucky Derby, and they're one that won the Derby and won the Preakness, and in 1988 had an even better year as the champion of the Breeders' Cup Classic in November of that year, and was also named Horse of the Year. So 35 years ago this year.
And that's how this came to be.
That's how this came to be. And we've been working on that on and off for a few years. It finally came to fruition just the past couple of months. Chris McCarron, the jockey at the time, Jack Van Berg, rest in peace, Jack, were significant contributors to the story, and Clarence III and Preston Madden, gosh, and a number of people that were involved in the horse racing industry were involved in the telling of this story, which is quite a remarkable story due to, or when you take into consideration what the horse overcame, and to become as phenomenal as it was on the track is really an inspirational story.
Well, I cannot wait to read it, and I just got my copy right here today, and I can't wait to dive into it. But what is it about this story that makes you, because I know with your previous book, with A History of Character, let's see, you dove into 66 different short little bios about Midlanders, correct? Right. This one you're focusing on a horse, which is, right. I love that. What is it that makes this story so good?
Well, I think I've been a thoroughbred racing fan for many years, and probably if truth be told, it was Alysheba that probably got me into that so many years ago, just remembering that run. But the story actually started in 1959 when Dorothy Scharbauer was in her 20s, married to Clarence Jr., and Dorothy's father, Fred Turner, who lived with his wife Juliet Turner in the Southwest Museum in the Southwest, the Turner Mansion there on Missouri back in the day. They owned a horse called Tommy Lee. Fred went to England to buy a companion horse, and that companion horse that he bought ended up being a Kentucky Derby champion as well in 1959. And so Dorothy took to thoroughbred racing and the whole atmosphere of it so well that in 1984 she convinced her husband Clarence Jr., hey, we need to do this again. And it took several years of talking him into it. But finally in 84 they went to the Keeneland auction in Lexington, Kentucky, ended up bidding $500,000 on Alysheba, who was not known as Alysheba at that particular auction. And at the same auction, there was a horse that was, the high bid was, I think, $13 million, I believe. It's in the book. The Seattle Dancer, I think it was. But they got quite a bargain for Alysheba, considering what all the horse did. And before it ran the Derby in 87, it ran several prep races, and it was diagnosed with an entrapped epiglottis. Imagine,
what is that?
Well, imagine, if you will, jogging with a stuffed nose and a clogged throat, unable to breathe.
Oh.
That's what Alysheba was competing and winning and placing second with that condition at the time. They discovered it, snipped the epiglottis out or open to where the airways moved, worked appropriately at the time, and then came back just weeks after that and did a standing surgery. There was no general anesthetic or anything, but came back just after that surgical procedure and won the Derby, and 2 weeks later won the Preakness.
Wow.
And then 3 weeks later was kind of blown out in the Belmont Stakes, which kept it from winning the Triple Crown. But
but 2 out of 3 isn't bad.
2 out of 3 isn't bad. The book tells the stories of Dorothy and Clarence, and they were really sort of folk figures back in the 80s. People, the Hollywood elite, if you will, just wanted time with them. And when they were out at the Hollywood Park racetrack at one race, they were seen, and Bob Hope, Phyllis Diller, Cary Grant, all came up to them and wanted to spend time with them. So just because of who they were and their story and the story that's told in here. It was quite a great story. Clarence Jr. was quite sort of a Will Rogers kind of a character back then. So it's a great story, Krista, and I just I didn't feel this way as much as the family felt that it would be a great thing to retell it in a book.
I think that's fantastic, and I cannot wait to read it. And I may be paraphrasing here, and maybe you know the story, because I know you've studied the Scharbauer family for many years and Midland history in general. Recently, we had John Scharbauer on the show of Midland Meat Company, and he was walking out, and he tells me this great story of his grandfather, where he's at a horse race, and is it Toby Keith?
Yes.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
You do.
Okay, good. I'm glad, because you'll get the story right, because I'm just paraphrasing here. But they're standing there, and he's talking to Toby Keith, and he says, "I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good as I ever was." The song, and Toby Keith went and turned it into a #1 hit. Mm-hmm. So did I get all the moving parts right?
I've heard they were at a. I don't want to say bar, because none of them were huge drinkers, but I believe they were in that setting, and that's when Clarence Jr. met Toby Keith. Toby Keith came up, asked him how he was doing. He goes, "Well, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was."
There you go. I love it.
And it's one of Toby Keith's biggest songs. So.
And years later, he came back to him and said, "Hey, that phrase you gave me kind of gave me a hit. Would you like some royalties?" And of course, he said no.
Yeah.
And I love that. That goes back to the philanthropy that the Scharbauer family truly has for giving back. And right. I think he was doing okay at the time. Didn't really need the royalties, so
probably. They do have some ranch property still up in the Panhandle that they still manage and operate, and they just had branding a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And that's kind kind of an interesting thing to behold. So.
Yes, such a great family and such a great story, and we cannot wait to hear it. I want to mention that where people can find it, because you're in town today for a book signing, but this is going to release, a few maybe a month later. So how can people find this book, The Glorious Run of Alysheba?
Well, it's on Amazon first and foremost. You can get it. It will be at the Museum of the Southwest.
Okay.
They'll have their share, and also I believe that the Midland Meat Company is going to have a few copies, and maybe the Half Acre. I haven't worked all the details out with John just yet, but I know he's offered to sell them, so I should know that after this weekend's over.
Fantastic.
But it's and let me think what else. Or you can put my email address up, and I'll just send somebody a copy.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, and go ahead, give us your email address.
It's jimmyleepatterson@gmail.com.
And I like to say the more famous James Patterson or Jimmy Patterson. I know years ago we used to joke about that. We actually did a little run on TV together where I would ask you the top headlines of the day in the newspaper, right?
Right.
And we used to have some fun
Yes.
times back then. And so
I remember the bird.
Yeah.
The parrot, remember?
it started chirping, right?
Every time
we
Every
would,
time, yeah.
I mean, the bird would be quiet until we were up live, and Jimmy would say, "How does the bird know that we're on live TV?"
I think that was the first noise from the Patterson house every morning, my voice. So when I started talking, the bird whose name I've forgotten, figured it was time. It was okay to start
Right.
making a racket.
Yeah, I thought, well, he's talking, I might as well talk too.
Yeah, so Karen sets the bird out one morning because it's a nice day, and she sets the bird cage up in the tree, and somehow the door came open, and the cage might have fallen onto the ground, and the bird either flew away or we sometimes suspected our three-legged dog might have
Yes.
had himself a little between-meal snack.
We're going to go with bird flew away.
Yeah. Sorry to traumatize all the children out there.
No, I think they're fine. They're grown adults. But I love this conversation. I have so many questions about Midland itself because I don't know anyone who has really studied the history of Midland more than you. But first, it is time for quote of the day because I love hearing quotes. I feel like it's a great way to start your day off and gets you going, inspires you. So I'm going to have you pull from the bowl of quotes. See what you get. Okay. Oh, you got the Brave card. I love that.
Okay, good.
Okay, tell me something about yourself, Jimmy, that I wouldn't find in your bio or resume. Oh, this I reversed these. These are I messed up. It's okay. These are the question of the day. So we're gonna do the question of the day, then we'll do the quote of the day. So tell me that first.
Tell me the question again.
Tell me something about yourself that I wouldn't find in your bio or resume.
Huge book fan. Huge, probably not a big surprise there. But,
No.
huge Larry McMurtry fan. John Steinbeck, and love Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, see, there you go. See, I would not know that.
Oh my! Yeah.
I love that.
That's how I got here today.
Favorite song? Really? That's how you got here today? I want to hear that story.
No, I mean, just listening to books and music. So.
Yes. Well, I thought maybe there was a Bruce Springsteen story, and you were like, "Well, Bruce, I met him in a bar once. He said go to Midland, Texas."
No. But when Karen was expecting our first child, Jennifer, we went and saw him at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas and had backstage seats, not passes, but seats. And so our daughter first heard him before she was born.
I love that. Is she a Springsteen fan?
No,
it didn't carry over.
That's one thing I wish before I died that I could instill in my children is the love for his music. So.
Maybe it'll happen. You never know. You still got lots of time. Lots of time.
So, yeah.
Tell me favorite book, since you mentioned books, because really when I believe it was your lifelong dream to write a book, if I remember that correctly. So tell me, all the books out there besides your books, what's your favorite book?
If I could tell everyone a book to read before they check out of here, it would be Tattoos on the Heart by Greg Boyle. It's the story of it's a true story, and it's a story of business in Los Angeles that employs gang members that are trying to leave the gang that they've been in, and Greg Father Boyle puts them to work, and they have a bakery and a cafe, and they have a cap shop and a T-shirt shop, a screen printing shop, and it's just a phenomenal book about compassion and how we should have unlimited compassion, for radical compassion, I think it's called, for everyone, regardless of where they are in their lives.
I love that.
I've learned more from that book than any book I've ever read.
Well, thank you. I've never heard of that book, and so I'm so excited to read it and to hear that, because I think that is something we need for everyone, is compassion.
Oh my goodness, tattoos on the heart.
Everyone is going through something. And
always.
If you think about it that way, you will treat people a little nicer, a little kinder, and it will be reciprocated.
That's right. Either starting to go into something, in the middle of something, or on the way out of something.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, now for the quote of the day, since I really messed that one up. So, all right, let's go ahead and see which quote of the day you get.
Okay.
You get the caring card.
All right.
All right. I think someone messed my... I think someone messed with my... All right, we're going to go back to this one. All right, this has got to be the quotes. I think somebody just accidentally put a question of the day in the quote bowl.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
All right.
All right, smile. Let's see what that one says. You better be a quote. Let's see. Oh, it is a quote. Okay, you ready? You can tackle the day, or the day can tackle you. Go tackle the day. Guess who said that?
Randy White.
Me. I said it.
Did you? Okay, good.
I threw one of my own quotes in there because that's one of my favorite things. There's actually really good quotes in here. Not that mine is, I mean, mine's a good one too, but I'm just saying we have everything from Mother Teresa in here to Tony Robbins, and we pulled mine today. But anyway, I love that because I feel like you have the choice every day to either tackle the day or you can let the day tackle you.
I like that. You should start keeping track of all your quotes.
I should, more than just on these cards that actually got jumbled up here. But do you have a favorite quote? And what does that quote mean to you, to go tackle the day?
It means dream big.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what it means.
And that's what you did, Jimmy Patterson.
That's what we do here on the Krista Escamilla Show.
That's right. We dream big. Well, you have to dream big. If you don't dream big, you never know what can happen.
Never.
If you aim small, what's going to happen?
You get small.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you aim big, what's going to happen?
Yep. You're gonna at least go for it.
At least go for it. And to me, that's what it's all about. Of course, there's going to be failures along the way. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how it evolves. What is your favorite quote that you live by?
Well, I like "Peace Begins with a Smile" by Mother Teresa.
Oh, I love that one.
And I like if in order to succeed spectacularly, you have to be ready to fail spectacularly.
Yes. So true.
What you're talking about.
So true. So yeah. So let's talk about that, because I think it's important to, especially for young people. Hopefully we have some young people watching today too, and they can learn something from your story. What challenge did you overcome? Because I know you had a dream when you were young to write a book, but of course it takes years to get there, right? You had years at the paper, years of dreaming, years of writing, years of evolving into those books that you've now produced today. What challenges have you overcome?
Well, I think inherent in a lot of creative people is a certain amount of self-doubt and self-esteem issues, even as you go through life. And getting through those, you don't get through them. You just get on with things. Some days are good, and some days you wait for the next day to be good, and you just have to persevere through all of it, and the doubts and that come with failures, if you will, or if unmet expectations.
I like that.
Yeah.
Unmet expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you can't let the times you've been knocked down keep you down. And some days it's harder to convince yourself of that than other days. There have been days that I don't feel like getting out of the house, and so I don't.
Right.
But most of the time I do, and it's all good. It's you just have to master the things that bring you down.
That is so good. And I think many people maybe think it's just them when they're going through it, right? But everybody has those thoughts. I've been there. I've had those days. Don't want to get out of bed. You have something that the unmet expectations where you think something is going that way, right? And then all of a sudden that door is shut and you think, oh, well, now what? But that's just God's redirection on where you're supposed to be going and what, that's part of the plan. Yes. But at the time, it's hard to realize it's part of the plan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The suffering, the older you get, the more you realize how important it is to suffer because it makes the highs higher. It makes the successes richer. But, you can't go into everything expecting everything to go the way you want it to go. I heard it said many times. If you do life according to your own will, it's easy at first, and then it gets hard. If you do life according to God's will, it's hard at first, and then it gets easy.
Yes, that is so good and so true. I'm sitting here today in Midland, Texas with Jimmy Patterson, a friend of many years. He's an author, journalist, just an all-around great guy, as if you can't tell, right, from this interview. Now I want to talk a little bit about Midland, because I know Midland means a lot to you. And you made the decision to go, you and Karen. I loved kind of following your little journey when you decided to go travel and I think that is just so incredible because it's something my husband Al and I have on our bucket list. We're like, when all the kids get out of the house, we're going to go travel for a year. Not that we want all the kids out. We want y'all there for a long time, but you got to go to grow.
That's right.
But once they get out of the house, we want to do kind of what you did and went and traveled for a year. Yeah. First of all, what did you learn from that year of travel? And then we'll talk about what you love about Midland.
Well, again, expect not everything to go as planned. You can't really write down any sort of an agenda or a to-do list or a where are we going list for any further than a month out.
Okay.
We sold off everything. We sold our house. We sold both of our cars and all of our worldly possessions, I guess. Bought a truck and a fifth wheel. And then set out in 2018, went out to Utah and New Mexico and Arizona for a couple of months. And Utah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. That's one of our recommendations. And then we came back through Midland. Our son was married in March of 2018, so we came back through for that. Then we slid down to Houston for our grandson's baptism. And then we picked up the journey again and went east down to Florida, through the south, and then up the east coast and all the way to Maine, and then across the top of the country through the South Dakota into Montana and Wyoming, and then back down to Colorado and New Mexico and back home.
This sounds amazing.
It was just the best thing ever, and I would encourage anybody who has that dream to do it.
What advice would you give them, though?
To do it before you get too old to do it.
Okay.
Seriously, and take that challenge if you can do it, and it's not a struggle financially, and you can somehow make it work. Because you see God in everything and everyone.
I love that.
When you go out there.
Oh, excuse me. That's to pick my child up from school. Okay. I think he's not out yet, so we're good. We've got some time.
That's right. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Now, if you go out there and you talk to people about people and leave everything else off the table, then and it's amazing how kind people are and how they want to talk to you about themselves. Met veterans. Met Jimmy Carter. He taught Sunday school, and we got to visit the church in Plains, Georgia, where he was teaching that day, and he's right. I was as far as you are from me. How
amazing! What did you ask him? Because as a journalist, I know you asked him a question. What did you ask Jimmy?
I asked him if it was more fulfilling for him to have been president, or for him to have been or for him to be an evangelizer. And he said it was more fulfilling to be an evangelist like he is,
Wow.
but did convey that when he was president, and he made it sound like a secret that nobody had never told anyone this before, but something tells me he has probably. But when he was the president, he would sneak out of the White House on Sunday morning and go teach Sunday school at different churches outside or in the Beltway, and the press wouldn't know. I don't know if his people knew or not, but.
And that was before social media, so
yes.
So it's not like it was being leaked out by everybody recording him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
it's great.
That's amazing.
It was wonderful.
And I bet you have 1,000 stories like that one.
I do, but unfortunately, we're about out of time.
No, I don't want the time to end. I want to talk to you more. I didn't even get to ask you, what is your, see, I have so many more questions. Maybe we can go a little bit longer. What's your favorite thing about Midland? Because I know Midland is right here in your heart, because you continue to write about it, so I know you love it.
Well, for me personally, it was my church when I was here. The friends that I made in all the years that we went to St. Anne's, and we've lost a lot of friends far too early since we've been gone, and a lot of people who we miss, and who are here, and people we miss who've met with tragic passings all too early, and it's just been those are the friends we've kept up with more than anyone, I believe, are the ones who we met and knew through our church. But the people here, in terms of in a big 30,000 foot broad thing, the integrity of the people, and the way people just go after what they want here.
Yes,
I think
resiliency. What makes Midlanders resilient, in your opinion?
Oh, it's a story. It's like Roy Orbison came from Wink, Waylon Jennings from Levelland, Bob Wills from Turkey, and Buddy Holly from Lubbock, for the biggest people in music ever. How did that happen? How did they make it so big after having come from tiny places out here in West Texas? Because there was nothing else to do.
They got to practice the guitar extra long.
Yeah.
What else were you going to do?
That's right. They set their mind to it, and they excelled, and that's what people do.
I love that. Jimmy, we are out of time, and I hate that because I really want to talk. I had so many more questions on my list. But I do, before we go, want to ask, who do you want to pay it forward to? At the end of our show, we like to highlight a nonprofit organization, and we make a donation on behalf of the Krista Escamilla Show. Who would you like to highlight today?
I would love for this to go to an organization in Houston called Moving Waters. Moving Waters is it's an organization that provides mobile showers for the homeless in the greater Houston area. We serve, by the end of the summer, we'll be serving 4 days a week at several different locations in downtown Houston. We started a year ago on May 21st, or maybe May 10th, 2021 is our first day, and we had 3 people show up. And yesterday in Houston, we had 42 people. Wow. And fed 60 people. Fantastic. And clothed them, and in about a 5-hour period. And it's just an incredible thing to be a part of, to see the faces of people who are, it's not just a shower. We have volunteers that come out, and their job as a volunteer, we tell them just sit and talk to somebody. And so they sit and listen to people who are homeless, and they're so often unseen, unheard, and to just sit there and let them talk to you, that's as important as a shower.
I love that. Thank you for doing what you're doing there, and for Moving Waters. We will make that donation on your behalf. And I encourage all of you to pick up The Glorious Run of Alysheba, and of course your previous book, A History of Character, the story of Midland, because I think you are an incredible writer. We are very lucky that you love our area so much and continue to pour into it. And just your stories I could listen to all day long. And so hopefully you'll come back next time you're in town. Probably have a new book out, right by then, maybe? You're working on something?
I am, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we would love to have you back, Jimmy. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your knowledge and your words, because you are a beautiful writer, and we appreciate you doing
You're
that
very
for
kind,
all of
Krista.
us.
And well, congratulations to you, not only for your business here, but also keeping your interview techniques and your face out there for everyone to see, and because you're very comforting when you do this to people who you interview and to people who watch.
Thank you so much. Everyone has a story, and I think everyone needs to share it, and we need to keep those stories going. That's what life's about.
I agree.
Lifting each other up. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We want to wrap up today's show with just thanking all of you for taking the time and for sharing our show. We are growing, and I know some of you have asked about sponsorship. Give us a call, email us, connect with me on all the socials at Krista Escamilla. We'd love to talk to you more about it. But in the meantime, I really want to encourage all of you to remember these life mottos. Dream big, you see it here, believe in yourself, and never give up. You make it a great day.